welcome to the 9642 podcast. This is your host, Mr. Number 9.
And this is The Fool.
This is where me and The Fool give our
Unqualified and unrequested
ramblings on the various issues in the world of sport.
or something like that.
Hello everyone, we are back to our bread and butter and our original bread and butter, the FIFA World Cup, being held in Qatar. Now, just a bit of a disclaimer, we did do this earlier, and unfortunately we had technical issues, and therefore, yes, we're doing it again.
Take two.
Take two. Hopefully this time it works.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, we'll see. The listeners won't know, and it's because they're listening to take three, and then they might know. So.
Yeah. So we had done a bit of a review of the group stages and gone through a bit of the last third round in our earlier recording. Now the third round of the group games were incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
We had, I think the first time 3 Asian teams make it to the second round with Australia, South Korea and Japan, and all of them doing last day heroics to get through. So incredible performances from all of them. At one point it looked like Costa Rica and Japan were going to get through, which was a historic result, but no, it's just, we say bye-bye to Germany and Spain are through. And I think, to be fair, Spain were better than Germany.
Yeah.
I
think that is fair.
Like at the beginning of the tournament, you and I both were like, it's a pity Japan's kids are not going to get through to the next round and get to see them.
I think both of us were like, hearts for that group was Japan to advance, but heads said no. As it turned out, our hearts were right. We just shouldn't not listen to our hearts. That was the lesson I learned.
Yes. Listen to your heart. But yes, my apologies for that. Anyway, the results came back incredible. We already had Portugal and Brazil through to the next round, but both teams lost. Even though Cameroon did not get through,
so close.
Well, the Fool here chased the dragon one last time, and they become the first team from Africa to defeat Brazil at the World Cup. So still an incredible achievement for them.
The other great achievement they had was that up until that game, Brazil in this World Cup had not had a shot on target. So neither Serbia or Switzerland had a shot on target against Brazil, and then Cameroon, I think, had 4, including the goal. So yes, it was great work by Cameroon. And they were also very close to getting through. I watched the Cameroon-Brazil game and getting the updates through the Serbia-Switzerland game, and the Serbia-Switzerland game being very topsy-turvy. Made the emotions of the Cameroon game that much more, because they finally got their goal, and then it was sort of just, is there going to be more from Serbia and Switzerland? Can Serbia upset this party? But no, it was Switzerland held on, which gave it Brazil-Switzerland through, and despite the greatness of defeating Brazil, Cameroon get dumped out of the World Cup.
Yes, but I think I think at the end of the day, it's a fair result, because I think Switzerland were worthy of getting through to the next round.
Oh, it would have been very sad if they'd stumbled at the last hurdle and hadn't made it out. They were clearly
I agree.
They're the second best team in that group and should deservedly go through. So
as much as you and I both love Cameroon and that dragon, they make us chase every World Cup and every AFCON.
Every time.
We're like, come on, one more time, Cameroon. Let's bring the band back together. It'll be like Samuel Eto'o and Roger Miller all over again.
Exactly. So they did go and give us also, I think it's the only red card of the tournament so far.
There was a red card at that Wales game, wasn't there?
A red card? Oh, sorry, you're right. No, the Wales keeper also got second red card of the thing there. But
I was sure there was another red card. I wasn't sure.
Was. But
I
no.
mean, we can't say that the Welsh did not make an impact in their return from
No.
1954. Um, of the teams that were quote unquote sent back home,
Yeah.
who are you the saddest to see go?
Um.
As in, they played
Saddest.
well, got unlucky.
Saddest. Oof, there's so many
I
sad
feel a
ones in
bit for
there.
Canada. I think
Yeah,
Canada.
Canada's sad, but I mean they did. Yeah, they had three unlucky losses. That's never going to.
Yeah,
I was sort of thinking maybe Mexico because
of
they
the kit.
of the kit, but also they played one awesome game, one poor game, and then the third game or the first game was sort of mediocre. So I mean it was all sort
Yeah,
of their fault, but at the same time
yeah,
that last game against Saudi Arabia was so good, um, and yet
yeah.
they wasn't quite good enough.
I agree. I also think I was a bit sad that Saudi Arabia couldn't also get through,
Yeah.
because of they were just needed another win and they couldn't make it.
Mm.
I felt a bit bad for Iran as well, but they showed a lot of courage, like real
Yeah.
courage in the face of adversity for what's happening in their
Yeah. Yeah.
country, and they decided some things are more important than football, like something I would never do, for example.
Yeah. No,
um,
that was amazing. Um,
and they almost still went through despite that terrible first game. I
yeah.
also felt bad for the Qataris players. I think they will get a lot of cheers and people, because of the geopolitical situation with this
Yeah.
World
Yeah.
Cup thing. But I think it's important to separate the players from the
The
other
rest.
things associated with the World Cup. They're here to
Yeah.
play football. Like they've worked hard as athletes to, do their country proud. And unfortunately, because of COVID, they haven't had the opportunity to get the games into the
Yeah.
team to get through to the next round and or even get a win. I think,
Yeah.
given the circumstances, that the people of Qatar would have been happy with even just a single win in the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but because there was a lot of vibes of USA the '94 team, which basically they were like a bit like a club side in many ways because Bora Mutovic went and kept them aside, and they all stayed in the one camp and went on to, they trained together, worked together, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
they managed to beat Colombia and get a draw against Switzerland and make it to the second round.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then lost to Brazil in the 4th of July, but no one's gonna complain about that. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
Brazil, they won the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. You lost to Brazil. Like, oh no, oh no. Who could have predicted that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I feel like that would have been more justified as a thing, like for these players, like because they'd have worked hard. They have actually gone through the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
went to UAE and won that Asia Cup.
Yeah.
And maybe unfortunately that gave everybody in Qatar a bit more of an expectation on them.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, you're
But
right. They had done well as a team, and had
yeah,
yeah. And as you're right, like the Qatar team should be separated out from the rest of the Qatar stuff of the World
yes,
Cup committee there, of everything that's gone into it, all the government and everything else. Like the football team itself is the football team, and
yes.
yeah, maybe and they probably
I,
did deserve better than what they got. You know, three
yeah.
losses, only one goal for. That's the other thing. They only scored the one goal.
Yeah, and also I think a lot of the programs Qatar did, you can take a very cynical view of it, but it has actually produced a very decent local league and a local group of players. And
Yeah,
the Football Dreams project, which they said was basically a charity, and the people who went through the Football Dreams project wouldn't be forced to play for Qatar. It would be up to them, and it turns out it's true because there were two other players in the tournament who came in through the
All right.
Football Dream project, and yep, they represented Senegal, and so they
Right,
did.
there you go.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, that's all I was going to say.
Yeah, so they did. It's easy to be cynical, but they did do what they said. What it said it was going to do on the can.
Yeah. Which is, can't really ask for anything else, right? They can, they can have an academy, and they can have people come, do their football stuff here in Qatar. Is exactly the same. They said, look, we're not going to force anybody to play for Qatar. Like, there'll be choices at some point, and some people chose, and some people didn't. So it did what it said on the can. You can't really complain at them for that.
Exactly. So I hope for the sake of the academy, because it does seem like by all accounts it does do a lot of good work developing footballers around the world. They don't give it up, and it continues because it could be one of the actual really good legacies coming out of the tournament for both the country and everybody else involved.
Yeah, which would be good. It'd be good to have. It's always good to have some positives coming out of the World Cup.
Yeah.
World Cups.
Other than other than certain people getting richer, there should be other benefits to the world.
I was going to say, World Cups tend to breed quote unquote benefits for some, but in terms of actual global positives or things becoming better in a much more wider sense, it's nice to have some of those as well. I say, other than just certain unnamed figures getting slightly richer.
Yeah. Like, only slightly, though. So,
well, they're already super rich, so yeah.
We ignore that part.
Bringing it back to football, though, I was going to say, alongside Qatar, there was Ecuador as well, and they missed out.
Yes, I agree. They definitely deserve to be in a shot. They were unlucky to be in such a tough group.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say out of Senegal and Netherlands which one I would have Ecuador swap with, because I don't want to swap with either. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think, to be thing, like, when Netherlands beat Senegal in that first game, they were in pole position because they beat a good team.
Yeah.
Other than Brazil, they were the only other team in that first round of games to beat another good team, and do it in a tough game. Like, Brazil very easily overcame Serbia, whereas I feel like the Netherlands were tested in that game against Senegal.
Yeah.
And that was an even game, and I think a lot of credit has to be given to Louis van Gaal, the old fox. There's a reason why he's such a respected figure in world football, and it's basically it's all on display in this World Cup. He is the man.
Yep, no, definitely. Yeah, and Netherlands are looking really good, and he's got them well oiled.
Yeah, and the player, like, I don't think the Netherlands players are necessarily much better than the Senegalese players were. I think playing stuff, because Senegal don't have Mane, that was about even between the two teams. But and I think Papa Cissé Diop is a very good coach. But he isn't Louis van Gaal, with like 150 years of however long he's been around experience.
Yeah, how many hundreds of years of experience he's got?
Yeah, at World Cups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since the first one, right?
Yeah. He was there at 1930, and
feels that way sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely does feel that way sometimes. But jokes aside, it would be very fitting for him to get another deep run in this tournament.
Yeah.
He would be well deserving of it. So yeah, not just my Holland team colors I'm playing on here. I think a lot of people genuinely hoping for like a good result for him, especially given his health issues that he's gone through as well.
Yeah. I mean, other than the fact that I really want him to not make it through the next game, because spoilers, it's versus Argentina.
Yes.
Yeah, I would also be happy if he had a deep run. I'm just also not going to be happy because it's my team. But
Yeah.
yeah, from a more personal point of view, because it'd be nice for the Netherlands to go deep. Somehow,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Now we can, after our review of the group games, we can, because of our recording issues, we did do a preview of every single knockout game in the bracket.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning. We're correct about the games we thought about so far.
Yeah.
Because
We
we've had to re-record this today.
yeah. Let's say it's not too bad, other than people will go, "Huh, yeah." Predicting after the game happens, that's really easy. But yeah, I think we were both reasonably correct with the two games today. The Netherlands easily accounting for USA. I think we both sort of didn't really feel USA had anything in it. And then Argentina, Australia, Argentina winning, but also not quite as comfortably. I think we both sort of thought, whilst Argentina should win, like Australia was going to be potentially be a tougher match because of the way the Australians were playing, and they showed it in the game as well. Like, they are playing as a team. They're playing with heart. They're playing with pride. And whilst Argentina didn't take it easy, once they got 2 goals up, it was a little bit of that complacency sort of started to creep in. That's just a touch, which did allow Australia a little bit of a glimmer, but not much. So Australia could have almost stole the 2-2 draw at the end of the game in the last, literally would have been the last kick of the game.
Literally, though, if Australia hadn't, if Matt Ryan hadn't conceded that very soft goal, we would be maybe talking about penalties in this game. Like I told you that we had said that we thought penalties was a very likely possibility in this game because of the way Argentina play, and the Socceroos had the tools to defeat a very flawed Argentine team.
Yeah, exactly.
In a particular way, and they did play that way. Individual player errors happen. That is the nature of the game. And Lionel Messi, the first goal was basically Lionel Messi doing Lionel Messi things.
Very much so. Like, it was classic Lionel Messi. Like, everything about it. So even potentially classic Argentine attacking flair of Lionel Messi, since the last touch before Messi took a shot, or got it to take a shot, was probably just a missed touch by the other player. It just happened to be Messi in the right place. He was like, nope, that was a pass to me, and I will score. Yeah, all as planned.
Exactly. I mean, I feel a bit bad that the commentators were talking about how this is much like the '86 team. It was basically Maradona and a bunch of his mates. He could have picked any 10 other people. I feel like the '86 Argentine team do not get the respect they deserve, and this team definitely don't deserve that level of shit talk. I think there's some very good players in this Argentine team. They know how to play around Messi now.
Yes, exactly. No, they're all very good players, and it's not Messi and 10 other people who are there for the ride. Like, it's Messi and 10 other really good players who know how to play with Messi on the side and can leave him over there to do his own thing, and he'll just drag defenders away, and they'll be like, "Hey, you've sent 2 or 3 people to deal with Messi. Cool, we'll run riot through the rest of you then."
Yeah.
You can't really do that, but at the same time you can't not do that, because if you don't mark him, we're going to create space for him and give him the ball, and he's going to wreck you guys. So, yeah.
Also, in Argentina, it is part of the football culture to have a team built around one person who goes on, like the Triquista. It's an Argentinian thing. So, I think it looks a particular way, and let's be fair, Diego Maradona liked spreading that narrative. That he carried that team into. There's a difference between carrying a team into a World Cup and you and 10 of your mates did it. Like the way it's portrayed in the media.
Yeah. I think you're right. The 86 team should get a lot more credit than just being Maradona and 10 of them. 10 of his mates just there for the ride. Like, they
Yeah.
also had things to do and needed to perform as well. So
Yes, and that team also kind of gets a bit of a bad rap because the 1990 team is arguably better than them in many ways.
yeah,
Like man for man, like it has players like Claudio Caniggia playing, um, and like they're a more complete, quote unquote, complete team.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, they didn't win a World Cup, and I think like for football hipsters, they will go, yeah, to show your credit as football hipsters, you go, oh yeah, but this 90 team was better. So they have to like figure, yeah, they have to diss the 86 team other than Maradona.
Yeah.
And like, and the common man just thinks that, because, Diego says so.
Yeah. Of course, Diego would say so. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we love the man, don't get me wrong, but he says shit like this all the time.
yeah. He is.
Remember when he
just,
didn't want to put Lionel Messi in his team in the 2010 World Cup?
yeah, yes,
And he was
I remember.
coach?
Yeah, I remember. I remember why as well, because he didn't want Messi, because everybody was saying Messi was the new Maradona, and so then to prove that he wasn't, he didn't pick him for a bit there.
Yeah.
Look how well that worked out for him.
I know. And, like, this is why I'm sorry, RG fans, and this might mean there's certain neighborhoods in Bangladesh I just can't walk down anymore. Pele is the GOAT, okay? That's all there is to say about it.
Yes. No, I do agree that Pele is the GOAT, and yeah, being an Argentine fan.
Like, you can argue all you want about who's the best football player in the world. If we're arguing about who's the best football player in terms of international career, it's Pele. Okay, there is no close contest about this. He's the greatest player to have played international at the international stage.
But Maradona got picked for Player of the Century. It was Maradona. Therefore,
Yeah.
well, whatever. But to be fair, that was Maradona's argument.
Yeah, the people's champion. He's the people's champion, right?
Yeah. But they renamed that. No, FIFA made him Player of the Century at the turn of the century. So he was the Player of the 1900s. And then, but it was very much FIFA being FIFA. It was like, other than the awarding of the last two World Cups, it was perhaps the most FIFA thing FIFA's ever done. But then they FIFA'd it up even more by then changing it later to be the players, the people's player of the century, as opposed to the player of the century. So, you can imagine that made both Pele and Maradona at different times their own personal brand of angry.
Yes.
Which just made things more fun between the two of them as well. And just
Absolutely.
And Maradona was always the more outspoken of those two.
Yes, because at first there was a point where Pele just felt bad for Maradona and stopped.
Yeah.
Stopped giving the narrative, stopped stoking the fires. Yeah. Right? Like, especially after Maradona had his health problems. Like, Pele was just like, okay, whatever. Like, it's not that important. Which is also, again, this is why he's the GOAT.
Oh, no. Yeah, Pele was definitely the nicer of the two in terms of human being. So there could be a bit to say that the two of them appeared to actually be friends. And it's sort of unsure at some point whether some of it's just them playing up to the media or not. Because they were... Like, when Maradona started off, Pele was his mentor. Like, he actually spent time with Pele, and Pele, talked him through stuff, and then there's a bit where they have a falling out, because, I can't remember, Pele said something, or Maradona said something, and the other one was like, hey, man, that's not cool. And then they had the beef, but then at some different points they'll show up on the same TV shows, or, hang out with each other and be like, oh, hey, we're actually
like Bowser and Mario, right?
Yeah.
Are they friends or not? Nobody knows.
Like, and just randomly be like real friendly to each other without any real prompting. Like
Yeah.
like that's not a time. Like this doesn't seem to be a show that you put on to be friendly to each other just because you're forced in the same room and had to attend the same awards dinner. No, this is something completely different. In fact, at the awards dinners, you guys are like putting tax at each other just for the fun of it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like, we know Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are friends in real
yeah,
life. Like, there was a point where Ronaldo just went, look, I don't know him. There's no personal issues. Like, we only have a professional relationship. So, and he was just like, we have a really good rivalry. And that's pretty much where he left it. And you can imagine Cristiano Ronaldo's probably had a few, like, things about, oh, why does Lionel Messi get all this craze and stuff? I'm like just as good, and like we can believe that, but also Cristiano Ronaldo seems to be the sort of person who can compartmentalize that to being like, but that's not Messi's fault. That's everybody else.
Yeah.
And the fact that his son is like a hardcore Messi fan shows that he doesn't hate Messi, right? Like that would be.
That's
and his son adores. And his dad, his son loves him, he's a real daddy's boy, like...
Yeah.
But, he thinks Messi's better. Like, that's all you need to know, that there isn't a feud between the two of those two.
Exactly. And that is the story I love the best about those two. So Ronaldo's son's like, Messi's the greatest. He's the best soccer player ever. Yeah.
It's just the first time he met Leo Jr., he was just like, oh yeah, do you know your dad's the best football player ever? And it's just, Leo just, at that point he was too young to give a crap. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's just the greatest.
And like, I think it was one of those Ballon d'Ors where it was obvious that that Messi was gonna win, so Cristiano just showed up, to show his face, sort of thing. But he was, oh yeah, please, like, my son really likes you, and like, I think even Messi was kind of like, I'm not too sure about what, we have all this media derived feud. I don't know how seriously you take it. Oh, you don't take it seriously at all. This is obvious. Like.
Oh dear. Yes.
Like, so it's one of those things that we love about the Cristiano Ronaldo Lionel Messi feud. Like, Cristiano Jr. is like the person who makes them friends.
Yeah.
Such a wholesome story.
It's so wholesome. Anyway, should we get back to round of 16 games?
Round of 16, the actual football talk.
Yeah, actual football.
But for real, we have had an incredible day of play so far, and the round of 16 promises to throw us a few more as we progress further in. Now, we, as I said, we did predict that the Netherlands were going to beat the US, and I think we predicted 2-0, so 3-1 is about right.
Yeah.
And we predicted Argentina we wouldn't be surprised if Argentina won by 3 goals, or if they lost by a goal. They won by a goal, but that's within what we would have predicted, so. Netherlands-Argentina, repeat of the 78 final, and of course the 98 quarterfinal, where Dennis Bergkamp scored that incredible goal.
Yeah.
And the Netherlands went on that incredible run. So Argentina are like the South American team that has the most number of European rivals. Like, obviously Argentina has a rivalry with Uruguay and Brazil, but Brazil's rivals are all local, right? It's Argentina, it's Uruguay. Everybody in South America wants to beat Brazil, but I don't think Brazil considers, like, for example, Colombia to be a rival, right? I don't know if they do. Like, feel free to let me know. But when I talk to Brazilians, I don't think they question, like, Uruguay and Argentina, they're like, oh yeah, we gotta take this seriously. And like the other European sides, they're like, they're good teams. But they're not rivals. Like Argentina fans, Holland fans, rivals. Argentina, England, rivals. Argentina, Germany, rivals. And then in South America itself, Argentina obviously have Brazil. They've got Uruguay and they've got
Yeah,
Chile
yeah.
as well. I don't think Chile's a bit of a rival with Brazil, but
Maybe
tradition,
more, not traditionally, but maybe more recently.
yeah. And even like Argentina rivals with Australia. How does that happen?
I mean, well, that happens
Because they're
because
Argentina.
because they're Argentina, but I mean, listening this morning that came up in the game, like there's a reasonably storied history of games between Argentina and Australia because
Yes.
Australia invited them to play in their bicentenary, like was it 86, 87, 88? Whenever it
Yeah.
was, and then beat them when Argentina were reigning world champions with Maradona in the team, and Australia beat them. And that's the only
Yeah.
time Australia's beaten Argentina. But then they nearly got Argentina not to go to the '94 World Cup because they had to have
Yes.
a home and away
Yes. And
qualifier to
they
get
did.
it.
And I believe they drew in Argentina, and then they came home to Australia, and they just narrowly lost.
And I think, if I remember correctly, Maradona was recalled to the side for that game. So he came
Yes.
and won the game for Argentina, basically.
Yes.
So so that's how that rivalry occurred.
Yeah, that they've got a rivalry with Australia, and Australia has a rivalry with Uruguay, so they do have like previous,
Yeah.
rivalry. They do have South American rivals nearby. I think there's a one-sided rivalry. Mexico considers Argentina to be a rival. I don't know if Argentina considers Mexico to be a rival.
Yeah.
So there are rivals on the continent. Other teams that are like, Argentina, we're a great rival, and Argentina's like, we're not rivals, bro.
Yeah,
I have heaps of rivals, and even I don't think you're a rival. It's like the equivalent of the Bangladeshi cricket team. Like, because Bangladesh fans are like, we have this long rivalry with Pakistan, India, and you're like, okay, and Sri Lanka, you're like, I get it. Also Afghanistan, what? Why? And Nepal, what? They're not even at this side. Why are we and Hong Kong too? What? Why are we rivals with everybody?
just everybody's our rival. Everyone.
We do have this habit of like knocking England out of World Cups, so can't argue with that.
No.
But they're not a rival. That's let's get that straight though. But yeah, Argentina back-to-back 2 rivalry games. They beat Australia, and now they get to face the Netherlands. How do you see that game going?
As I say, it's gonna be tough.
It's Messi versus LVG, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I have to put the money on Argentina. I think
it
Messi
did go into penalties last time in 2014.
Yeah.
Where Louis van Gaal famously said it's always lottery after, even though he said the round before that he's a genius for figuring out penalty shootouts.
Louis. That's
Louis.
Classic Louis.
Classic Louis. Now I think we had so moving on to the next game. So these are the Tuesday games. Just because this is the way the bracket's been set up on Google. Japan, Croatia, and Brazil, South Korea. I think Japan can beat Croatia. I think Croatia I'm just paraphrasing what I said in our previous recording. I think Croatia are Spain 2.0. Yeah. They like to have the ball, and they like to pass around in many, many circles. I think their attack is slightly better than Spain's, and they are more experienced than Spain are. But if Japan can beat any team in a knockout round, it's Croatia, because that's the style of team they want to face.
Yeah.
And they are a bit more aged. So when Japan inevitably brings on their quick boys in like the second half, who are fresh and like attack with pace, that will cause Croatia problems. Whether they can score is another question, but if Japan can defend on the high line sooner, I think if they do that against Croatia, they will cause Croatia problems.
No, I think so. I think I agree with you completely. Like, this is, of the options Japan, technically could have had, this was definitely the best one for them. So
Or
I
a team
see,
like Croatia was the best one for them.
yeah. So I see Japan winning this one. I think we
Yeah.
were predicting 2-1 like their German and Spain games, so
Yes.
finish games.
Yeah.
So I think I'd stick with that 2-1 to Japan.
2-1 to Japan. Yeah, I agree. And the next game, South Korea, Brazil. South Korea's done really, really well to get here, and I will
Yeah,
say Brazil are not a flawed team. They have many good players, and they lost. I know they lost their game against Cameroon, but they were resting players, and they were
yeah,
giving everybody a chance. And so Brazil have also got a loss out of their system where they didn't play bad against Cameroon. Cameroon didn't dominate them and then get
no,
away
no,
with like one goal. They played well. They just couldn't get a goal. They kept trying. Neymar, in theory, could be back for this game. I would
yeah,
feel very bad for Neymar if he were to be injured and Brazil get knocked out.
yeah,
Another 3 World Cups in a row where he has to sit out while Brazil are knocked out of the tournament.
yeah. That would be
That's.
harsh from.
I mean,
Yeah,
all things aside, and I mentioned this in the previous podcast, Neymar is the last top-level flair player in the
yeah,
world. There are
yeah,
other players who have flair and use it. He is a flair player. Like, a flair, he can't lose that flair and be as good as he is.
yeah,
Uh, and if Neymar plays, obviously I think Brazil are gonna win just because he does Neymar things.
yeah.
That being said, they can win without Neymar. I think if Richarlison is back, and I think Richarlison has his scoring boots on. Son Heung-min is in incredible form.
Oh, amazing.
I'd love to see a game because this game could go gangbusters. Both sides just attacking like a basketball game, like just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
going back and forth against each other with Son and Neymar getting the team into great attacking positions. I think Brazil defend really, really well though.
Yeah, yeah.
So do South Korea. But I could even see a high-scoring game. But I'm gonna go Brazil. But I think a high-scoring, close game. So 4-3 Brazil.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I go with you. Like the Brazil team that lost to Cameroon was clearly their C team. Like
Yeah.
they rested. There was only 2 players that had played that stayed in the squad in the team in the starting 11 from the Swiss game. Say clearly Neymar was injured as well, so he's out. Richarlison didn't play that game. What's that? I think the team that played Cameroon, the Brazilian team that played Cameroon, if they were picked to play South Korea will beat them. That would but it's very unlikely that happens. No questions. Yeah. So, and I think a Brazil team with Neymar in it, and the A Brazil team, like all their top players are fit and ready to go. Brazil easily beats the South Korea team. But
Yes.
not sure whether Neymar's back, or others may be a bit questionable as well. So we may get a B plus team, in which case it could be quite interesting because Son is in amazing form. He is almost literally single-handedly dragging the South Korea team as far as he can. Obviously, there's lots of other good players there that are doing things, but like the goal that put them into that beat Portugal and got them through this far, that was Son running the length of the field through all the Portuguese, getting crowded out, still holding the ball, still finding the perfect pass to his support player who just had a free shot on goal. It was like that was Son all the way. So yeah, and he could do that as well. He could just create moments of brilliance, you say, and keep Korea in the game. So I think I go with you that Brazil wins, and with you that it's going to be close and that there's going to be goals. You say both teams defend quite well, so it may just be that there's lots of really good chances and they don't quite get there. But I think there's at least 3 goals in this game, if not 4, or as you say, 5, 6, 7. So I don't think I'll quite go as high. I might stick with the 2-1, but it could easily be more.
Yeah. The other thing, like just as a shout out to Brazil, just because we have been showing them a bit of love. I think does any team in international level have so many storied jersey numbers as Brazil? Like Argentina, it's the number 10, right? Number
Yeah,
10 is the jersey you want. It's got players like obviously Maradona, Passarella, Messi, Riquelme,
yeah,
these incredible number 10s that they've always had. Um, and Brazil, that number 10 is arguably even more storied. There's Pele, uh, there's Zico, there's Ronaldinho and
yeah,
Neymar.
yeah.
Like, you know, the only time they didn't have an iconic number 9 and number 10 and won a World Cup is in '94 because Bebeto wore number 7 and Romario wore number 11. And the
Right.
Brazil number 11 the Brazil number 9 jersey is iconic. It's Ronaldo, well, like it's Richarlison,
Yeah.
it's uh, the it had Ronaldinho back in the day at
Oh, yes.
Ronaldinho was number 10.
Yeah.
It's got it had this is why I remember you and I were saying like, oh, Joe's not even worthy of wearing his Careca at the '86 World Cup, and obviously
Yeah.
Pele wore number 9 when he first came on into the team. So
Yeah.
there you go. And then you've got the number 2 jersey for Brazil with players like Cafu, Carlos Alberto, Dani Alves, Maicon. So like, being the right back of Brazil is a big thing. Like you've got epic heritage to live up to, if you're playing. So this is why, and Brazil, Pele, two positions where he's like incredible, and 2 jersey numbers he's made iconic.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game, France-Poland. You and I famously disagreed about this game. You thought the French were going to get through. I was worried about camp problems, and I picked Poland to get through.
Yeah, no, as I said, French World Cup problems in camp.
Doesn't matter what sport.
Doesn't matter what sport. That's just standard fare. Like there is nothing unusual here. It's like, so what's your point? That you already had said that by saying the French team at a World Cup. Like it's surplus to requirements tend to say, and they're having internal problems. Like it's just standard. No, I think I agree with you that this would be a very close game, but I think the French team's just has more game winners across the park and more. They're looking slightly better. Poland is very good, and they're very good defensively, but it's Lewandowski up front, and that appears. I mean, we are talking a world-class player, like a ridiculously good player up front to be like, oh, yeah, and Lewandowski, but that is their front player. That's the where the chances are coming. That's where the goals are mostly coming from. Well, France at least has a little bit of a spread there to be like, we have other options. So
yeah, that's definitely the case. Now it's just the thing. Like I know what you're saying about France. But the thing is, I've noticed a pattern with France. They are the World Cup where there's problems, but they win the World Cup. The one after, when they have problems, inevitably, they don't tend to win.
No.
So there's a.
They have made it to the round of 16. So
that's true. That does go against the grain of history. I must admit.
yeah, they're having problems. It's usually the one where things are actually more problematic than others. But they did make it to the round of 16, and they topped their group as well. So
the other thing is, I think Poland are going to be their first genuine decent side they're going to face.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yes, Poland is definitely going to be a bit more of a challenge for them, and definitely going to be a team with much stronger defense. Like the Polish defense through the rounds, the group phases, was looking very solid.
Yes, and I do think that for when it's said and done, the Polish team are better than Tunisia, so they would have watched that game against Tunisia and seen the potential weaknesses in that French side.
Yeah.
The French team were not that much of a B team when they played against the team that played against Tunisia.
No, I guess not.
Compared to the Brazilian team, genuinely was just giving everybody in the squad a chance.
It was, as I say, it was literally 9 players rotated. There was only 2 players that started the previous match. It was, literally everybody gets a turn.
Yes, and I think good.
Oh no, it was good for them. And it was clearly a good idea. Let's get everybody out there, make sure everybody's got a little bit of game time. They had the luxury pretty much because they had a reasonable goal difference on Switzerland anyway, so the likelihood of losing top spot was low. So it meant, for Brazil, get the other players out, give them some game time, and also, here's your chance because, playing in the Brazilian national team is an achievement in itself. You have to fight for that. And so,
at a World Cup,
at a World Cup, no less. So it's like, have your chance. What can you do? Why should we be picking you in the next game?
Yeah. And I think all the starters were like, yeah, now you know why we're the starters.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, so moving on from that, what scoreline are you predicting for France? I'm predicting a 1-0 to Poland.
I think I'll stick with the 1-0, but it's France. That's 1-0 France.
Alright. Next up, England, Senegal. You and I were both in agreement here. England always choke when they play a good team.
Yeah.
Major tournament, like when they play their first good team, like if they have a good start and they've made it through.
This is the time they're going to choke.
Yeah, and Senegal are a good team.
Senegal are a very good team.
I predicted a 2-0 to Senegal. I think they've, without Mane, have shown they're still good. They're well coached. Very unlucky to lose against the Netherlands, but did the business against every other team. Impressive against Ecuador, so they've beaten a good team as well.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember what score I gave, but I'm pretty happy with the 2-0. I think that seems about right. Maybe 2-1 with a late goal from England that might give them a bit of hope. But 2-0 Senegal.
2-0 Senegal. Next up, we have the games that are going to be played on Wednesday. So these are tomorrow night games: France, Poland, and England, Senegal.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. This being recorded on Sunday night, New Zealand time, roughly 9:15 p.m.
At this point in time,
Now, the next 2 games, we have Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, Switzerland. Those are an incredible set of matches for the Wednesday.
Yeah.
Now, you and I think, controversially, predicted 2-1 Spain. Sorry, 2-1 Morocco.
2-1 Morocco. Yes, I think that. We said. I think we can rehash, but we thought it's going to be very close. But Morocco's fast. They've got quick players. They can have watched the Japan-Spain game from just the other night and seen exactly how Japan did it, and they can replicate that possibly better. So it seemed like Spain has firepower, but Morocco should be able to deal with that and should be able to counter it quite easily. So a 2-1 victory.
Morocco are not afraid of a team like Spain that kind of want to pass their way into a goal, pass net almost.
I think that was our argument as well. Like Spain's potentially almost 100% idealistic in their gameplay.
Yes.
And that's probably not going to help here because they possibly don't really have the players at the moment to do that. Like nearly, but not quite.
Yeah. I think next World Cup they will be incredible, and I think there will be a few more players coming up through their systems because Spain produce good players. They have good, good grassroots and good systems set up. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that I'm surprised if Spain win because Spain are a good team. And they are obviously also going to... Luis Enrique is a good manager. They will have learned from mistakes. in the previous round. So that game's going to be incredibly fun to watch, incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
One of those chess on grass games where you're going to see everybody set up their pawns, set up their knights, and then when is the queen coming out? Is there going to be a queen gambit?
Yeah.
Concede goal and then push forward to break up the lines as you change into a higher line.
Yeah.
Or are you going to castle early? What's going to Then we've got the Portugal versus Switzerland. Portugal, I think, they were obviously they won 2 games, but they didn't necessarily play their best in both games. And Switzerland were quite easily the best team in their group, second best team in their group.
Yeah.
With Brazil, I think luckily, as much as we felt bad for Cameroon, I think Switzerland deserved to go through. Kiri in great form for them, and the team playing really, really well. Now, what the Portuguese coach does before the tournament, before the match, hard to say. They're basically saying they're going to treat that loss as a learning experience, which I think is going to help them.
Yeah.
Bruno is on fire.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things because the dream of a Messi Ronaldo final is still available. Gotta pick Portugal.
Gotta pick Portugal. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to continue picking Portugal whilst that dream's alive because that is perhaps the best storyline that could possibly be. And the other thing is that yes, while Switzerland's a very good team and they've been playing very good football, in the end, Portugal has Ronaldo. And if there's going to be a differentiator in this game, it's going to be him. Even if it's just him sitting there and doesn't do a lot. As we said, he's the alligator in the bathroom. Switzerland have to have a plan to deal with him, and Portugal have got enough quality elsewhere that, same with Messi was talking earlier, you can go mark Ronaldo, but the rest of the team is good enough to swarm, to take advantage of the man differential. So you have to put at least 2 men, if not 3, on Ronaldo, stop him doing anything, and then the rest of the team will just run through the rest of the team. So you don't have enough players to deal with that. So you've got to have a plan for it, and you've got to. So he's always just going to be there, and to me that's the differentiator, and it's he's going to win the game for Portugal in some way, and so I don't know if it'll be 2-0. I think Switzerland are good enough for a goal, and perhaps this is another one where there's a high scoring goal because both teams have shown that they can score goals, and they have been in some high scoring games, backwards and forwards and things. So essentially, this is a 3-2 sort of scenario.
3-2? I like it. Just a side note, Bruno Fernandes, 2 goals, 2 assists this tournament so far. He's having an absolute blinder.
He is. He really is.
So that's just to go through our predictions again. So Netherlands, Argentina. Did we want to make a prediction on that, or are we saving that for later on?
Let's save that for later on, because we will do a quarterfinal preview when we get to that point.
Alright, so Japan, Croatia, we predicted a 2-1 Japan.
Yep.
Brazil, South Korea, we both picked high scoring. I picked 4-3 Brazil, but you also were you going with a 2-0 Brazil or something like that?
I was going with maybe a 3-1. I think South Korea would be a 1.
3-1 Brazil. France, Poland, we both went the other way from each other. 1-0 each. Poland for me and 1-0 France for you.
Yeah.
England, Senegal, we're both predicting a 2-0 Senegal.
Yeah. Potentially 2-1, but let's go 2-0 for Senegal.
Morocco, Spain, we're predicting a 2-1 for Morocco over Spain.
Yep, that's what we're predicting.
And Portugal, Switzerland, you were predicting a higher scoring game. You're going 3-1. I'm going 2-0 to Portugal.
Yeah.
Nice. Alright. Fingers crossed this one records this time.
Looking good. Before we go, do we want to just... also, I don't know if you saw... We were talking about Pele earlier.
Yes,
He
yes.
is in palliative care now, so it's looking like it may be the end of the line for Pele.
Yeah, sad news to
Yeah.
hear the legend um is in ill health. So he's been moved to palliative care because of his battle with cancer.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds like the treatment stopped having an impact. Like he's not responding to that treatment anymore, so he's had go into palliative care.
yeah, I mean he's 82 years of age. It's unfortunate that he's had to have a health scare at such a late age. But
Mm.
I don't know the details in and out about the type of cancer and things like that that he's going
I
through.
think it's
So
colon cancer, but it's maybe something else. But I'm pretty sure it's colon cancer. Oh,
yeah,
he had a colon tumor removed last year, so it's
right,
yeah.
right, right.
Related to that, it does look like potentially.
So he's had a remission,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it looks like it's spread. They didn't get all of it, and it spread throughout. And he was on chemotherapy, but sad day. Newspapers over in Sao Paulo have reported that that has not. The latest rounds of that have not shown signs of working. So the doctors are put him on palliative care.
So we wish him the best. Um, Obviously no one can live forever, but
No.
hopefully he's comfortable and he's got family around him who
Yeah.
are taking care and like having their last moments with him.
Yeah. And he could
And
definitely live forever in our hearts. I mean,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely,
Even if he was from before our times, like it's
yes,
still one of the greats.
absolutely. And yeah, he'll always be the GOAT to me,
Yeah.
even though I never watched him play in real life.
Yeah. No, he's definitely. I think. Sometimes I like to think Maradona is better, but in reality, when I think about it, it's Pele. Pele's first.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I say once again, having not actually seen him other than highlights, on YouTube or things like that. Yeah. But it just is the way he is spoken of, the way he had spoken, and as we're talking, just his general gameplay
Yeah.
seems like it
And
was just so magical.
absolutely. And Brazil were known as the chokers of world football, and he
Yeah,
led their first title. Well, not led them. He was a 17-year-old in that team, but he scored a bunch of goals for them.
yeah, yeah,
And the others, he is credited with changing the mindset of Brazilian football, where they were very like they very much wanted to be seen as gentlemen and like technical players, and
yeah,
they wouldn't go into the dirt and play hard. But Pele was never afraid to kick you if you kicked him.
yeah,
So, and he would get into positions and get those goals and get those assists. Could play basically anywhere from the midfield to the forward line.
yeah,
Um, and you're in when they had the 50th anniversary of the Ballon d'Or, FIFA did a honorary board to give uh, people who did not qualify for the Ballon d'Or to be like, okay, on these years, these players who were not playing in Europe and not European would
yeah,
have, there would have been strong contenders. They're not taking anything away from any other players. They're just saying these guys would have definitely been contenders, so we should just give them an honorary Ballon d'Or.
yeah,
And so Maradona has two of them for 1990, 1986. Daniel Passarella has one. The great Garincha has one. Romario for that performance in 1994
yeah.
when Brazil won a World Cup. Um, has been offered one. Pele has been given 8. That's all you need to know
That
about
is all
him.
you need to know. Yeah.
So
But,
like he became the best player in the world when he was 17, and he was the best player in the world until he was 29 years old. That's an incredible run.
yeah, that is crazy. It is really
Like
crazy to think about. So yeah.
so We will miss him. Like, he's not gone yet, but he will be missed, and he'll forever be the greatest.
Yeah.
I think.
100% agree.
I guess on that note, thank you very much for listening in, and we look forward to hearing from you next time.
Catch you next time.
Well, that is the end. Thanks for listening all the way through.
If you liked what you heard, we have even more. NineSixFourTwo Discord and a Buy Me a Coffee.
Pretty sure it's Buy Me a Beer.
Oh yeah, buy me a beer on buymeacoffee.com.
In both these places, you can talk to us, and we may even listen, especially if you do buy a said beer or coffee. I might still be confused.
Yes, we're easily bribed. All links are in the show notes below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is on YouTube.